Hello everyone, welcome back to Catch Up Court. I go by the name of Heinz. Thank you so much for coming back to the spiciest court in the land. On the Catch Up Court podcast, we are going to recap on day 7 of the Ali and Ali trial that's going on right now in the state of Washington. It has been dubbed as a honor killing trial. We are going to be giving you just giving my thoughts on everything that happened today. This is not going to be a very long stream. I'll be very honest going forward. A lot of the recaps that we have done are back. You can go and watch those recaps to know what has been going on from the previous days. But just to give a quick overview, this is going back to events on the 18th of October 2024 in regards to where the father of Fatima Ali was just going off on her, and was choking her. Many people were trying to stop him from choking her. Were trying to get him off her, and through the testimonies in these past few days of trial, they were successful in the end, and they gave testimony to basically say that she was losing a lot of that she was losing consciousness, that she basically lost consciousness, and also her face was changing colors, all those things. Many witnesses came to testify, today the state has rested their case. The defense has also rested. The Alis are not going to testify. They said that they don't want to testify and exercising their right on that. So the court are going to be doing the closing arguments on Monday. So there'll be no recap tomorrow, because they're just gonna go through jury instructions, etc. From what I do know from today, the charge of the false let me start again. There is second degree attempted murder. There is third degree assault, I believe the judge mentioned, and also there is first degree assault. So from what I know, those are the charges floating around for Ihsan Ali, and I believe the mom is only responsible for violating the restraining order, and lesser included was a second degree assault. I believe the mom had, and that's what I think she also has unlawful imprisonment, just like the father. So that's what I read from the court, but we are going to recap all of that on Monday when the jury instructions have been read and the charges has been when the jury instructions has been completed and the charges has been read to the jury. We will go through the closing statements, go through this whole trial. But this what happened today is the most important part, and I'll be very honest, not a lot of fireworks. They did have a few more. They did have a few more eyewitnesses coming up, but nothing really nothing exciting happened. I'll be very honest. Celeste Waltermeyer, the school principal, testified today. We also saw testimony from Noah, who was an Eyewitness. And I believe his testimony was really key because he had a bit more of a vantage point of the mother. He also recorded video of the incident as well, and basically it was I felt it was more emotionally impactful. We are going to be going through his testimony. Officer Tori Chavez was also recalled to the stand. If you remember, she testified on day 5, I believe. So she was back on the stand. They played that body cam. Nothing much really. I don't know what value she really offered, but it just showed that the mother was, I guess, uninterested in how Fatima was doing, despite testimony that she was actually looking for her, but she was more concerned about the father. So that was the substance of that testimony. Then Alford Stanford came up, who was the police officer that was basically processing the whole runaways. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt it was pointless. I mean, there were so many witnesses today that they just skimmed through all of it. And I believe Tracey Arnold, who was the last witness up, was probably the most important one. That if they had to put her on, I think the eyewitness, Tracey Arnold, and Celeste could have just done the job. But yeah, there was a lot of witnesses, and I'm guessing that they were just trying to establish the intent element, because that's the only hurdle that they have to get over. So they're doing everything that they could to kind of give the idea of a really broken home and show what the school was like, so that they could show that he did have that forethought to harm the daughter based on what she was doing at the school, based on the fact that she was seeking solace. And of course, we know that they can't get into the facts around why she was going to Iraq. We know, based on the evidence that's been kept out of the trial, we know she was going for marriage in Iraq, but for an arranged marriage, and she didn't want to go through with it because she already has a boyfriend in the States. His name was Isaiah. We heard testimony from him on day 3. So we know all of that, but at least with all of this evidence, it gives the jury idea that there was a lot of trouble at home. So I'm just gonna quickly recap on Celeste Waltermeyer's testimony. Welcome everyone that are here so far. If you're watching this back on replay, make sure you hit that like button. It will really help us out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support us further, you can also hit that subscribe button and be notified whenever we go live and not miss a stream or a video that we upload. Right. So Celeste Waltermeyer, she testified that she reviewed all of the cameras that was brought in regard that she needed to review, so that she can put together the trespass letter for Zahraa Ali. This was done on the 16th of September. We went through her testimony already. All of this was just going through the video and just confirming what she saw, and just and she basically just saw the trespass. And the reason why she was given the order was because of the commotion that happened with Isaiah, which is why he got a restraining order against her on the 14th. The father took out that restraining order based on the events that happened that day. So that's mainly issues pertaining to that for September 14th that they I believe it was October 14th, sorry. I believe, but there was a part of her testimony that I felt was really important, and this was, again, it comes from the defense, because it was on cross-examination, where they were trying to get to the bottom of what she was doing, and they were just focusing on the runaway aspect of Fatima Ali, and what they would do in case of someone having a runaway, what a child would do. And I really think that they unintentionally unintentionally walk themselves into further trouble. I'm going to go into that, but I just want to highlight why this line of questioning was, in my opinion, the best. I will explain later, but it was probably the best that the defense could do. You're going to see why. Let's watch.
And says, I'm running away. I don't want to go home. Is the school going to call the parents and say, your child is here? I understand he or she may have run away, but I want you to know that your child is at school. Would you tell the parents? And I thought your answer was no, but if I'm wrong, let me know.
There's multiple reasons where we wouldn't, like if there was a safety concern for that student, if the student is expressing that they don't want to go home, they don't feel safe to go home, something happened, we are going to call CPS and or law enforcement, whichever would be most appropriate, or both sometimes, and have them intervene and take it over at that point.
Okay, so I think we're on the same page. So you're not going to notify the parents unless the child says, yeah, you can let mom and dad know I'm okay, but you're not going to immediately pick up the phone and say, just so you know, your runaway child is at school, correct?
Not completely correct. I think it's dependent on scenarios that's happening with the student and what they're saying.
Okay.
At first I thought, what have you landed yourself into? Because why are you letting her testify that they would rather call law enforcement first, which is what they did in this scenario we heard from the school resource officer on yesterday's testimony. So at first I thought, what are you doing here? Like, you're just getting her to basically say that they would do all of this if someone has reported trouble at home and all those things. But he focused on that question and just asked it again and say, you would call the parents first, right? And then she was like, it just depends. But that line of questioning leads me to believe that they're trying to say, at least prepping for the closing argument, that they're trying to say that all of this could have been avoided if the school had notified the parents saying that we have a runaway here, that had she done that, had the school done that, because remember, they had already set up the thinking that this girl is a truant, she already doesn't go to school, that all of this, so the runaway would be normal, would be expected, and she's done it before already based on previous testimonies. So with that in mind, that's the idea that I'm getting from it. It's not the best of defenses, but I think it's probably the best argument that they have to at least bolster their discipline angle. I don't think it's the best angle, but this is the best argument, because when they put on that closing argument, they are going to highlight that the school could have actually just told them the child is safe with us, there is no need for you to worry, all of these things, because I really believe that they're going to argue that the father only showed up because he didn't know where the child was going and was trying to restrain her from actually going to that place, to wherever she was planning to go to. Of course, we don't know the details around the family life, so they can make this argument somewhat successfully if you really think about it, because if the jury does know that the family was going through and had a lot of issues in the background, they're not going to really buy that idea. But the fact that all those things are kept out, this is probably their best defense. Doesn't help the discipline angle, because no one is gonna buy that the discipline that you were disciplining your child. But it really does help with the intent element, that even though that did happen, even though that he was choking out on all this, he wasn't intentionally doing it, because his first aim was to stop her from being a truant again. That's what I'm understanding from this line of questioning. That's what I'm understanding from why they will be so on the school not giving the parents a call to let them know that this child was a runaway. That's the best I got. I mean, like I said, it's not the best argument, but I can see why they would make it, and I can see why it is a lot better than he was just disciplining the child. So she also gave testimony in regards to the transfer of Fatima to another school, and she basically said that it was due to space and not truancy. So that transfer was rejected because of space in the other school. And I thought that this really, that this again gives credence to their arguments about all of this could have been avoided. Let's watch.
Correct?
Let me go back a bit.
Yes.
Okay, and that was a decision that you had made by yourself, correct? You testified to that, right?
Yes.
You were the one that made the decision, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So then, on the 18th, she makes an application to have her daughter transfer to North Thurston, correct?
I don't know if she made the application there. I think she got the denial letter at that point.
Okay. Do you know when the request was made?
I don't.
And do you know why it was denied?
Due to space for that grade level.
Okay.
I believe it was due to space for that grade level.
And I assume that in certain circumstances, exceptions can be made, correct?
Yes.
Did you speak to the district officials about her request to have Fatima transfer to North Thurston?
Yeah. So when there's an appeal, I believe Miss Ali appealed to the assistant superintendent, and that Miss Scrubs reached out to me about that appeal.
And were you supportive of the transfer?
I wanted Fatima to stay at Timberline High School.
Okay.
That was my preference.
Okay.
So I guess the answer would be no.
Okay. So we heard discussion yesterday about your concerns about Haneen and her ability to talk to.
Okay, so they're gonna go into another section of the testimony, but this is the only part I wanted to focus on, because again they're putting the blame on the school again, because they are basically saying that the parents actually wanted to transfer Fatima out of the school to another school. They had set up that premise to basically they had set up that premise by asking questions in regards to them, the school's awareness about her being around other students. They didn't really say dating or anything like that. They just said that the parents had a preference to keep Fatima away from older men. And I just thought that this was okay, that this is definitely alluding to Isaiah. So because of that preference, they wanted to transfer her from one school to another. And I really believe it's because they don't want to open the door to why to what was going on, or the parental rules that they have in their home, all those things, whether the school knew and all of that. So I really believe that they asked it that way so that the prosecution cannot go on redirect and basically say, oh, look, like what was going on in the house that would cause you concern not to accept this transfer, for example. That's what I had, but they still extracted the best testimony in my opinion, because the rejection due to space in the other school, while that's not the school's fault, they still got her to admit that she still would have preferred Fatima to stay in the school. On redirect though, the prosecution did clean this up a bit and basically say, she was comfortable in the school, she knew the counselors, she knew all these people, and they were basically, so it gives the idea again to the jurors that something actually is going on in this background that we don't know about, and we are being deliberately kept awake and kept in the dark. Because why is the school worried about her? Like, why is the school worried about counselors, worried about, a change of teachers, all those things, that she was comfortable there, even though she was missing classes? Bear in mind that was happening. So why are the school concerned that she will lose all of these people? So I thought it was a good cleanup, but nonetheless, I still think that it was good for the defense to it was good for their defense that they are hammering on the multiple instances that if they did listen to the pleas that the parents were giving to transfer Fatima, etc., then all of this could have been avoided. I don't know how. I mean, I don't believe it's a successful argument. I don't believe it's a successful argument because we already heard that the school did accommodate and allowed them to withdraw Fatima and do homeschooling instead, where they were doing the online school. So I don't know how that could be the main argument, and I'm pretty sure the prosecution is going to really rebut this if they were to make that argument in the closing arguments. Let me go to the chat. Dima says the jurors may be suspicious that the school wouldn't call the parents, and I don't think that helps the defense. I see it. I see it because, again, they already have the fact that she frequently left home to go and seek solace from the schools. That they already have that fact. They just don't have that the school didn't do anything about it. They just don't have that fact, because if that fact comes in, then they have to know what was going on in behind closed, what was going on closed doors. But they do know that they do know, if memory serves, because I know I've listened to a lot of out of court testimony, so I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to get it right, because I've listened to a lot of out of jury presence arguments, so I know a lot more than I should. But I don't think the jurors know the exact amount of times she was a truant. They just know that she has missed a lot of classes. Based on the previous testimonies, that they know that she has missed a lot of classes. So based on that, they can pretty much infer that maybe all she was doing was truanting. I don't think the jury knows that she has went previous times to seeking refuge elsewhere. So I don't think the jury knows that fact, but they do know that she was a truant. So based on that, I do think, yeah, I see your point. I do see your point, because if they don't know that fact, then you would think a first-time truant, you would think a first-time truant would receive a call from, a first-time person seeking refuge, because we have all of that info in now, where they were at the bus stop to take her to a different location. We have that info in. So if this was a first time if this was a person that was a runaway for the first time, it would be more likely that you would call the parents. She is obviously a truant, like based on what the defense has been painting. So why would you not want to get the parents involved? So I do see your point. Like I said, it wasn't a successful argument, but I do think it makes a lot more sense than, he was disciplining her because because she was gonna run away again. I do think it's a much better argument than just, it was discipline. But yeah, thank you so much, Dima. He says I missed today's testimony, so I appreciate this. I'm enjoying your channel and commentary. Well, I appreciate you for joining. Thank you so much. I'll do my best to give as much highlight as possible. But Noah was the next eyewitness up, and he was basically testifying to knowing Fatima and knowing Isaiah, and his testimony was really impactful, really impactful in my opinion, because he testified that that he was on the scene saying to the dad, inshallah they love each other, so this was when the argument was basically starting. He was saying, inshallah they love each other, don't do this, etc. And then there was a part of his testimony that was really sad in my opinion, and we're gonna go watch it. He basically testified to hearing Fatima yell Baba. Like it really sent chills to me. Like, so I think based on his testimony and what we've already heard from the other eyewitnesses, I don't think any jury is going to listen to this and they won't be swayed by it. Like I said in the previous recaps, especially day 6, that I think that the prosecution has now at least proven the intent element based on the pediatrician's testimony that is definitely there. So all of this extra work is just to show, at least push it further past the finishing line. But this testimony may have just done it.
Other side of, you cross the street to the other bus stop at some point, and then you indicated you crossed the street to the other side of, you crossed the street to the other bus stop. At some point, do you remember if any Fatima's other family members show up?
Yes, her mom and her sisters showed up after.
Okay. And how did you know that the two women that showed up after were Fatima's mom and sister?
They identified themselves as her family by going for her father and then going and trying to get involved in the situation when she was on the ground.
Okay. And when Fatima's mom and sister showed up, as they were getting to the scene, did you hear them yelling anything?
Yes.
And what were they yelling?
It sounded like they were yelling Baba for Fatima's father.
Objection as to compound.
Excited utterance.
What they were saying?
Yeah, excited utterance. Excited utterance.
Sustained as the form of the question.
Okay.
And
I'll
when
follow
you
yes,
and Noah, when Fatima's mom showed up to the scene, did you hear her yelling anything?
Yes.
And what did you hear her yell?
Baba.
And do you know what Baba means?
Father.
And is that in Arabic as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And the fact that they have it on audio as well, sorry, on video, and they don't have that Baba bit. You can't hear it, but he heard it, and it's just chills.
And then at some point at one of the, so you testify that Fatima's mom and her sister showed up. At some point, either her mom or her sister end up on the ground as well.
Yes.
And who ended up on the ground?
Her mom.
Okay. And when Fatima's mom ended up on the ground, from across the street, were you able to sort of see what her mom was doing?
Yes.
And what was she doing?
It appeared like she was had her arms wrapped around Fatima's body.
Okay, was it, which part of her body were you able to see?
Her upper torso.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the. I mean, I like the other lawyer. I forgot her name again. Damn! Like one of the viewers, one of the replay crew, told me the name of the lawyer, and I just forgot it again. But I think it's Heather something. Yeah, I prefer her questioning. But again, I'll still give it to the prosecution. Their questions have been brilliant, and the fact that this is now body, though. I mean, they do know what he was going to say. Let me actually run it back so that
Her upper torso.
Okay. Were you able to see?
Her upper torso.
Okay, was it, which part of her body were you able to see?
Her upper torso.
Okay.
So upper torso is most likely here in the chest area. So, I mean, it doesn't like I said, I think the mom is definitely gonna get off now because they have heard his testimony before. I'm pretty sure they would he would have been interviewed way before all of this. So I don't think that this helps the defense in trying to get the mom, to be complicit, because you already don't have a clear video of her doing the choking, and the eyewitnesses have all said, yeah, she had her arm around Fatima, but now this testimony puts that in doubt because now it's upper torso, so he just lowers it a little bit to here. So is the mom trying to like get her off? Like things like that might pop up in a juror's head, and I really think that this one has just ended the mom being culpable for the second degree attempted murder. The father, though, I think they have definitely cleared that bar. So nothing really interesting happened during the cross-examination. Nothing really it was quick. It was quick. The redirect was just, like everything escalated when the dad was there. So nothing really interesting happened there. Like I mentioned earlier, Officer Tori Chavez was the next witness. She was recalled to show the body cam, and she reviewed the body cam of Zahraa Ali and Aneen at the school, and she was interviewing them. I'll be very honest, nothing really interesting come out of this. The only interesting part was when she was asked if Zahraa was looking or interested in finding the daughter. She basically said no. That her opinion was that she was more concerned about the father. She was more concerned about how he was doing. So that's just the most out of her testimony. Then we have testimony from Alford Stanford, who just gave testimony in regards to what they do when a report is submitted about a runaway. The most interesting part that came out is the parents needed to have consent to even put a runaway on a list. So what came out in his testimony was that Fatima was not even registered on a list for a runaway. So if this girl was a frequent runaway and a truant and all these things, the parents would have gone far to put her on a list. This testimony was really key because I believe they asked him the question as well, that if someone was on a list, would they have notified the schools, all those things? Like, yeah, they would have notified the school, because then they would have made sure that this runaway does not seek the school as a refuge, that rather they will just try and send them back to where they came from, because they're obviously trying to I don't know much about runaway, so I'm not going to speculate, but it just sounds like legally, it sounds like people that are runaways, they don't really enjoy home life, whether it's good or bad. Like they, from what I understand, I don't know much about it, so I can't really speak much on it, but it just sounds like it would have helped the Alis if she was actually registered runaway, because then the school would have to send her back. But that didn't happen on this case. So I thought that was a good part of his testimony. The cross-examination was not really interesting at all. To be quite fair, it just really highlights that the parents just never made any reports, and the only person to report anything was Ihsan, saying the daughter was a runaway. But all of that was basically just thwarted, and it was just that, like the parents did not say to law enforcement that this child was running away from home. So that's the bulk of the testimony. Thank you so much, D-Mart. The name of the lawyer that I was looking for was Everstone. Yeah, so I think I had the first name right. But yeah, so Tracey Arnold was the student assistant professional. She was in there, and I think she gave the best testimony all round because she said that that Fatima, that she just that she didn't really have Fatima in her caseload or anything like that, but she just knew her all around school, and she gave testimony that she would usually wait with her, I believe she said her sister, one of her sisters, that they would wait for long hours to be picked up by their parents. This does help a little bit because it does help a little bit, but there's a lot more nuance to it, and I'm pretty sure that a few jurors might not regard that part because there are many reasons why children would stay behind in school. So I don't think that part was where the me came from, but a lot of what she said in regards to the what Fatima looked like that day really compounded with the testimony with the pediatrician does help the prosecution case a lot. And surprise, surprise, Heather Stone was the person conducting this examination. So expect glorious questions. Let's watch.
Sustained.
Was that your testimony previously?
Yes.
Sustained.
And when,
Last question and answer will be stricken.
All right.
and so after you've seen Fatima go out in that condition that you have described, and you.
So because it's sustained, I'll just say it that she basically described Fatima as a voice being gravelly, and she was also staggering. This was right after. I believe this was. Let me know because they haven't given any times to all of this, so I don't know what came first. But I would imagine that this was right after being strangled. She ran to the school, so I would imagine that this came first, then the hospital. I don't know for sure, but she testified to Isaiah and Fatima coming in, and Fatima was looking staggering all around and out of breath, and she was also struggling to talk, like her voice was gravelly. So that's what was sustained about, because I think it's something to do with expert testimony or whatever. I never knew. So but anyway, let's continue watching.
Are standing there, you said Miss Robinson came back. What happens next?
We are talking, and a couple minutes into talking, Fatima comes in the front door.
Okay, and when you say Fatima comes in the front door, where are you? When you say you're talking, where are you in relation to Fatima coming in the front door?
Yeah, I think we were standing a little closer to the attendant's office desk, so a little bit farther from the front of my door of my office.
Okay, and who is in the office at this time?
I know for sure Miss West and Miss Kinley and myself and Liz.
Okay, and you said Fatima comes in the front door of where?
That leads from the main office to the common areas.
Okay, and what happens when Fatima comes in the main office?
She's trying to scream. She's really loud, but her voice is really gravelly. She's running towards us past the office desk there, and she is saying something and while she's screaming.
And so first of all, how does she appear to you in terms of demeanor when you see Fatima?
Demeanor, she looks terrified. She looked like she was in fear. She looked like she was in pain.
And what about physically, how did she appear? You'd seen her when she'd left just a little bit before. How did she appear now? Same or something different?
Something
Immaculate question, by the way.
different.
Immaculate question. You've seen that before. What about now? Before, afters?
What does that different look like?
She was kind of staggering as she was coming in. She was trying to go as fast as she could, I think, but she just was not capable of fully running while she's making or saying things.
And you described her as appearing terrified and in fear and in pain. What does that look like physically?
Yeah, it's mostly the expression on her face. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry.
That's okay. What does that look like?
She looked, thank you.
Again, impactful, similar to, I mean, I wouldn't say similar. Let me not say similar, but definitely up there with Noah's testimony where he was saying blah 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 blah. Like, so I do think that there's a lot of impact that this third party that not even affiliated with Fatima has no reason to feel like this, felt like this because of what she saw that day. So it just gives the image that this girl probably didn't look all right when she went into school. She probably looked like death.
Like her face was scrunched up, maybe a little bit red. It's really hard to describe fear,
Sure.
but she just looked really scared.
And you said she was saying something at the time. What was she saying at the time?
She was yelling to her best ability. She was saying, "He tried to kill me. My dad tried to kill me. He was choking me."
Again, this was why it was sustained before. I believe she just offered that testimony. So I'm guessing it was a foundation thing that they just had to get all this in. So I mean, sometimes don't object. Sometimes just lay it in so that you don't have that much. Because I thought she did damage. I thought that she did damage with the descriptions, all those things before saying she was trying to kill me, all those things, because that's why the objections were coming in. So yeah, like sometimes don't bother objecting to a question. Just let it play out so that it doesn't make your client look any worse, because they didn't cross-examine. Well, they did. Sorry. One, Ihsan Ali's lawyer did not cross-examine this witness. However, Zahraa's lawyer did. Nothing much really came of it, to be quite fair. So, it's just one of those ones where I look back and I'm like, you wish you didn't do that. Now, don't you? Yeah. So let's continue on to the next part of her testimony, because this is where she now gives testimony regarding to Zahraa Ali coming in looking for Fatima. So let's watch.
And you said, I believe there were 3 sets of doors to the back, and yours is the middle door. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if you're talking about that admin door, or excuse me, that front office, and you're talking about the administration doors, where in the set of 3, if you're looking at the back of the front office, is that set of doors?
If I'm looking at my office, it's to the right of that.
Okay. And when you're in trying to close those doors, are you closing them from the office side, the administration side, or something else?
The administration side.
Okay. And explain what happens next.
As I'm trying to close the doors, they're kind of on hydraulics. They close very slowly, and I was just putting my body pressure on them to close them as fast as I could.
Did they close as quickly as the front doors?
No, they did not.
And you described Mrs. Ali came in. How did you know it was Mrs. Ali?
So this was trying to keep everyone else. I believe this will be during the lockdown that we heard testimony from yesterday. So this was, I believe, they were trying to keep everyone out from coming in because of what they just witnessed with Fatima. So Zahraa was trying to come in to get the daughter.
What about her indicated to you that it was Mrs. Ali?
She was yelling, "Where's my daughter? I saw my daughter go through there. Where's my daughter?"
And how was she dressed at the time, if you recall?
She was wearing a long either dress or pants, dark in color, and she had her headscarf on.
And do you actually get those pressurized doors closed?
I do.
And what happens next?
On the inside, the administration side, there's a bar that you can push to open and shut those doors. And I grabbed onto that and leaned back with my body weight to hold them shut.
Okay. And again, without repeating anything that you have heard, can you hear if Miss Ali is engaging with anyone in the front office?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe the demeanor or the tone of that back and forth?
It was very loud. It was almost to the point of yelling.
And how long did that go on? Do you recall?
I don't, but it felt like just a couple minutes.
Okay. When you saw Miss Ali, how did she appear to you?
Upset.
What do you mean by that?
Maybe more like frantic.
I'm going to ask you again. What do you mean by that? What does that look like?
She was yelling. She was yelling really loudly through the door as I was shutting it, waving her hands.
So all of this, I'm guessing the testimonies regarding this
Did you ever hear her?
pertaining to the daughter is going towards, at least in furtherance of the violation of the restraining order, because she still was in violation of that. She wasn't supposed to go near the school, so she was in violation of that. And the fact that Isaiah was in the building with Zahraa, again, it's just closing the door basically on her. I don't think it's relevant for the second degree attempted murder. I don't think it's relevant at all for the assault either. Like, because I do think she'll get the third. I think for her it's either third or fourth degree assault that she might get. But I don't know. Even the jury, I don't think they might even give her that. I think the best might be violation of a restraining order.
Asking about the condition of her daughter.
No, she did not.
I'll play
Did
that
you
back.
ever hear her asking about the condition of her daughter?
No, she did not.
Did you ever hear her asking about the condition of her daughter?
No, she did not.
Okay, I had to play that back so many times because I was speaking over there. But that is a very key testimony, because it just shows that there was no regard for the daughter or anything like that. It sounds a lot more like, I just want my daughter back so that we can get her home and punish her properly. Or well, I don't know. I'm speculating at this point. So so she was the last witness up, and she provided her testimony was probably the most important one out of everyone's testimony, because she was speaking contemporaneously to what let me rephrase. She was speaking as an eyewitness of the aftermath of the whole events, and I thought that really helps, especially with the pediatrician testifying yesterday. Based on what she saw, the gravelly voice, all those things, it just adds to the hyperventilation testimony that was given yesterday regarding to the damage to lungs were. So that's why she had that pneumocystis diagnosis, that it was likely life-threatening for her should she had sustained, let me rephrase that again, should the choking have continued, should the stranglehold, should he have not been separated at all, it would have resulted in death, because of the weight of these testimonies. I feel like there is a lot of weight that comes with this, but I will still reserve judgment. Innocent till proven guilty. I believe that, but I really do think that the state has done enough to put on a case to say yeah, that this guy really did attempt to kill the daughter, but it's still a hurdle. It's a massive hurdle. The element to attempted murder is quite strong. Sorry, it's quite high. Sorry, the bar to meet it is quite high because there have to be a substantive step to actually do it. They have had testimonies that not all strangulation cases result with death. So yeah, like there is nothing more to it. They're like, so that's probably the only saving grace for the defense, that that they had someone come in to say that not all strangulation cases result with death. So, and they have to meet the attempted murder element, that it would have resulted in death. So based on these testimonies, I think they've met that, but it's up to the jury. They might think differently. They might think, oh no, if she went to the school, she was definitely fine. Because how do you run and you are out of breath, or your airway is blocked away, that you could have died or something like that? Maybe they might think like that. I hope the jury are not that cynical. I hope that they consider the fact that she was only 16 years old at the time, I believe. She's now 17. So hopefully they're going to consider some those kind of factors into all of this, that maybe because she's a young woman, they have to consider the fact that she's a woman as well, and meaning a slimmer build, all of these things. So when I look at it, yeah, it's a coin toss at this point, because I do think the fact that she wasn't taken off, if she was taken off in an ambulance, for example, and she was on life support, that might have boosted the argument that she was on life support, being taken to hospital immediately. So because of that, there was a high likelihood that she would have died, and she needed to go to the hospital. She lived after being taken to hospital. That might be a stronger argument. The jury might view it like that. Who knows? But I thought, now I understand why they're putting on so many medical personnel to at least try and meet that element. But it's up to the jury at the end of the day and what they think. And I think that the only saving grace for the defense is that she went to the school first. So how much danger was she really in? How could she have lost her life? If she fainted at school, that would have bolstered the case a bit, but that didn't happen. She still went to the doctors after the school got hold of her. Yeah. There is so many ways to look at this. There is so many factors to for the jury to consider. But based on watching this case, all of that, I do think that the jury are smart enough to look at that video and at least agree that it was definitely excessive. And with the changing of the colors of the face, the testimonies around that, the fact that it took so many people to try and get a dad off her, maybe they do see it as, she could have died even if she wasn't taken off to the hospital, etc., that she could have died if anything continued. So hopefully the seizure testimony that came in with the petition was enough. But I've got it wrong before. I thought I covered the Diddy trial on this channel. I thought Diddy would have at least got done on the sex trafficking element. Sex trafficking charge. But that didn't happen. So yeah, and I'm not gonna rehash anything from that trial, but I was coping a lot in that trial, but I don't think I'm coping here. I really think that they did meet that first degree element, that second degree attempted murder charge element. So anyways, that's all I have time for. I just want to say we'll be back on Monday for the closing arguments. We will watch the, it depends how long. So I don't want to do a fully long stream. So if it's long closing arguments, I'll try and streamline it. But I want to just, watch the full closing arguments and see what they say. Hopefully it's not long. And yeah, we will go through the previous testimonies and theorize what the final verdict could be. I don't believe it's gonna be. I don't think I'm going to have to stream that late on Monday. Hopefully not. So it might be a 6 p.m. start time. I will definitely let everyone know on the community tab section. Let me go to the chat one more time. Dima says, I agree. You just never know how the jury hears or interprets the testimony. Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones, like, watching this with an open mind. They don't get to read the news reports about the honor killing being kept out. Sorry, the Iraq trip being kept out. The reason for the Iraq trip, the arranged marriage. They don't get to hear that. They don't get to hear all these things that has prejudiced me a little bit. I would say I am prejudiced a little bit based on all that, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm trying to see where the defense are trying to come from. I don't think it's the best of argument. I mean, but you gotta try. You know what I mean. You gotta put on a case. So, and I think that's exactly what they have done. It's probably like trying to blame the school is probably the best defense that they have, because a lot may have changed. A lot may have changed if the school, did intervene. But as Dima brought out, it doesn't help the parents that it doesn't help the parents that the school didn't contact them first. So yeah. Dima says absolutely, ambulance and life support would make a huge difference. Yeah, like if she was in a coma, I doubt it. I mean, coma would have definitely knocked this case out of the park. But yeah, it's just I'm not gonna say it's a shame, because I'm glad that Fatima is at least all right and was walking afterwards. But it's just things like this that the defense are just gonna hammer on. That she made her way to the school, she was fine. That they went to the hospital. They didn't even need surgery because they felt like she was gonna recover on her own. All of these points are gonna be made on closing arguments. So how close to she to death if all these things could happen? And the prosecution are going to hammer on the fact that he needed to be restrained by 7 people or something like that, or something along those numbers. I look forward to the closing arguments and seeing what they put on. Obviously, the jury are not going to consider it as evidence or anything like that, but I look forward to seeing what they basically say. But it's been today has been eventful. In some ways, at least we got an idea of what she looked like or what she was saying when she got to the school, and how the school responded, knowing that she had previously come to them for help, and they put the school in a lockdown. So I think those elements would now, I think those key information would now be used in the closing in the closing argument, to basically give the idea that the home life was really bad, that the school had to lock down the whole premises the minute that she walked in. So, yeah, the intent is all they have to prove. The intent, but the attempted murder element is the main hurdle. Anyways, thank you ever so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Dmart, for your chat. Lurkers, I see you out there. Thanks for tuning in anyway. Next time, let me know how you're feeling in the chat. But yeah, if you're watching this back on replay, thank you ever so much for watching and making it this far. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back on Monday. Like I said, I'll put out the information when I know exactly when the trial is over, because it's all in Washington. It's 8 hours from me. I'm in the UK, so this is so I have to, plan it all out. But I'll let everyone know. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, you guys enjoy your evenings or days, wherever you are. Let me know how you're feeling. I will try and go live a lot more because there's a lot of cases happening right now. So I want to discuss these cases with you guys. Hopefully we'll get something going. I'm currently watching the sentencing trial of Shelby Neely. I think his name is. He done a massacre. I'm doing a video on that, so keep an eye out for that. If you want to catch up on the Karina Cooper trial, the video is out now on the channel. You can go check that out. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a great night or day wherever you're at. Take care of yourself. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Catch Up Court podcast. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe for more legal cases that we cover on this channel. We do nothing but cover legal cases and true crime on here. You can also check out our playlist that we have of all of our content. They're all available in the playlist option. Make sure you go check that out. So make sure that you hurry back and catch up with us. See you on the next one. Bye for now.